Secretary Panetta, Mr. Hale, thank you for your service. I mean that sincerely. I'd like to reinforce a couple points that Senator Sessions made earlier with a couple graphs. The first one, I'd like to dispel the notion, contrary to popular belief, that the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan have been the primary cause of our deficits. It's just not true. Over the last 10 years, we've spent a total of about $1.3 trillion. And this graph just shows the spending on the wars in blue and the deficit is in red. And so, just to make that point, because I think, so many people believe that it's the war spending that's caused our deficit. It's simply not the case. I mean, last year we spent about $115 billion on those wars, and we had a $1.3 trillion deficit. So that's the first point. Secondly, I'm new to town here, and I'm an accountant, and so I do like looking at history and numbers, and I was really surprised when you take a look at the average spending on defense over the last number of decades during my lifetime, how it's declined. We've gone from an average of about 8% in the 60s down to 5.6% in the 70s and 80s, to 3.8% in the 90s, 3.6% the last decade. Really a record low during my lifetime, and now the last three years has been about 4.8%, as well as if you take a look at defense spending as a percentage of the total budget, that went from 43% in the 60s to 28, 25%. Basically, the last 3 decades has been 18, 18, and 19%, and now the fiscal 2013 budget would have it at 16%. So, to me, I believe, and it just makes common sense, that the defense of the nation is really the top priority of government. And it looks like that our federal government has changed its focus from really defending the nation to really protecting entitlements. So let me just start out first by asking, why is it the case that President Obama, and just seems like, an awful lot of Democrats, pick out defense first for addressing the fiscal situation? I mean, that is the first thing they want to cut. I mean, I don't understand that. Do you have any explanation on that?
Well, Senator, first of all, that's not true. The fact is that it was the Congress, through the Budget Control Act, that mandated the reductions in defense that I'm implementing. I'm following the law, and the Congress passed that law.
But weren't the defense cuts really pushed by the Democratic side and by the President? I mean, let's face it, that was the hammer over the Republicans' head to come to the table, was defense sequestration, which, by the way, you referred to as mindless, and I agree with that.
My understanding is you came up, however you did it, with about $1 trillion in discretionary savings. The Congress made a decision that you were going to fence those funds for national security as well as non-defense discretionary. That automatically established a number of close to $500 billion that we would have to reduce defense. So I think it's unfair to say that somehow the Democrats were pushing for it. It was basically a bipartisan deal.
Next question then. I think as the chairman pointed out, and I think you agreed with, I mean, entitlement spending is really what's driving our deficits, especially long term. Can you explain why the President hasn't proposed any kind of reform for saving Social Security and Medicare? There's just been no proposal whatsoever. I mean, Secretary Geithner even admitted there's absolutely no plan to try and save Social Security. Why is that?
Well, if I was an OMB director, I could engage with you on that. But I'm the Defense Secretary, and that's what I focus on. But I'm sure that the President has indicated that that if there's a willingness to come together and look at all elements of federal spending, including entitlements, that there would be a willingness to be able to put together the kind of comprehensive solution that I've always been a part of in my budget history that needs to happen now.
Okay, I understand comprehensive, I understand balanced, but the fact is everybody recognizes it's Social Security and particularly Medicare that's driving our deficit problem. There's been no proposal. It's just used as a political football. I mean, that's basically true, correct?
Well, it's the old game. On one hand,
but that's the problem. It's a game.
No, that's unfortunate. It is a game because on one side, people will defend not touching revenues, which need to be part of the deal. On the other side, there are those that will defend not touching entitlements, which have to be part of the deal. If you want to deal with the size deficits that this country's facing, you better put everything on the table.
One just quick question. When we're asking the military to increase their contribution to TRICARE, we're not asking any other government employee to do that? I mean, why is that? Why ask the military and not maybe unionized members of the federal workforce?
Well, I mean, look, I'm proposing, I'm dealing with a defense budget. I'm not dealing with other elements of the budget. And we felt that in order to control our health care costs, this was one way to try to do that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Begich.
Chairman, thank you very much.